Hi, I'm Wendy. I'm here at the Smithsonian with Phoebe. Phoebe, thanks for having me.
Of course.
What can we learn about this location?
So a lot of people don't think about when they walk through a museum why the artworks are arranged the way they are. So it can be a really interesting exercise to look not just at one individual artwork, but at all of the artworks in a particular space and how they might be interacting with each other. A lot of people don't know that only about 5% of our total collection is on view at any given time.
Wow, so just a fraction?
Just a small fraction. So the curators have a lot of choice about what they're going to put on the walls. So as you can imagine, the choices that they have made are very intentional. So in this particular gallery, if we look back to the sculpture behind me, it's probably a familiar figure that most people would recognize, George Washington. This is an 1841 sculpture by Ferdinand Patrick, and it represents Washington at the moment when he is resigning his military commission after the Revolutionary War. And this is a pretty big moment in America's history because Washington had been given almost unlimited power as a general during the war, and he chose to give that power up. And this became a really important founding story of American history. And even though he went on to become president later, people still look back at this as a defining moment of his leadership.
Definitely.
And it's interesting, you'll see that the curator has positioned the sculpture so that he's almost looking directly at this portrait by Gilbert Stuart of John Adams on the wall here.
Yes.
So looking towards the second president, looking towards the future of our country, and again, emphasizing this decision of his to not remain in power indefinitely, but to turn over the presidency to the next person.
The placement here is not an accident.
Not at all. Very intentional. And you may notice that there's actually another depiction of George Washington to my left here. This is a study for the rotunda ceiling of the US Capitol building. It's called the Apotheosis of Washington. And here he's depicted very differently than in the sculpture that we saw earlier.
There's a stylistic change here.
Yes. So you'll notice he's depicted almost as a Greek god, surrounded by mythological figures, and it doesn't look like an ordinary citizen at all. This painting is really interesting because it was made during the early years of the Civil War, possibly America's greatest test at this point. So the artist is really drawing us back to this example of leadership that we talked about earlier and trying to reference our past to talk about the future.
Wow, so these items are together for a reason.
Absolutely.
Any tips or strategies for us?
I would just say when you enter a space, take a look at everything around you. And it can almost be like a game. When you walk into a particular gallery, try to find a connection between 2 or 3 of the artworks in the space.
Good challenge.
See what you can find in common. And that can often lead you towards a larger idea of what story the curator has been trying to tell.
Phoebe, thank you so much for sharing information with us. Thank you.
Thank you.